What up, traders? What up, investors? Welcome to the very first live stream AM session within the live stream system, blah, 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 with me, Ken, the Dyslexic investor. And we're going to be looking at a lot of things. We had, again, huge amount of earnings come out this morning. Like we had Twitter, we had Tractor Supplies running up, which was one we talked about at our previous live stream. Of course, we had Tesla report. They're around 1650 right now. Again, it's up about 60, 50, 70 bucks from what we're looking at. We'll see on how Microsoft opens up and Chipotle as well, looking at those charts while during live trading sessions. Again, we're at about 30-ish minutes into before the market actually goes ding, 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 and the bell goes boom, and we can go live with the Thursday trading session here, but we'll see with a lot of potential movements again. I just actually posted this to the folks on Patreon page about how AMD is looking really, really, really good for a potential further breakout. So let's go ahead. We can jump into some charts here and just have some fun with that. So I should be able to put this away. Should be able to see my screen now. I've got AMD pulled up. If you've been watching this channel for more than 2 or 3 times, we know you talk about AMD quite a bit, and AMD has been in this range absolutely forever. I know Ryan, if you joined the live stream, he has been in it with me for quite some time, really just trading pretty, bouncing around or ping-ponging around between like the 58 down to the $50 level and just trading sideways for months. And yesterday, the trading gods, the whoever, really just broke out the stock, breaking up to literally the $60 limit here. We're actually looking for around 65 potentially. We do have earnings on the horizon, which could be kind of a coin flip. We'll see on how that goes. Again, for myself, in my position, we are longer term. We have some leaps way out in September of next year, and I believe March, I think I have. So well over 150 to 200 and some odd days out on the calls, and just looking for this continue to potentially go up to 65. Again, is earnings going to do that? I don't know. Anything you know with earnings is a complete coin flip. So another one that we're going to be talking about, of course, is Tesla. So they actually reported last night, did fairly well, didn't go to 3,000 like some people thought, and it went up, but it didn't break the $3,000, the $2,000 limit that so many folks I particularly saw on Wall Street Bets just boasting about. Oh, Tesla's going to 3,000, 2,000 on Friday. That's Tesla would literally need to cure the virus and then somehow come out with basically giving the people giving sight back to the blind. Like they would have to be really come out with guns a-blazing and cure rapid diseases if they wanted to break that $2,000, $2,500 limit that I've heard about. That being said, we're trading around 1660, so we can kind of just zoom this into like a very small intraday. This is pre-market, so this is going to be a little bit rapid. I'm scared for earnings too as well, Ryan, about AMD. So with again Tesla, we got down all the way to like 1585. Again, anything can happen. There's going to be quite a bit of volatility because I think there's going to be a lot of folks that went short on this. There's going to be a lot of love and hate on this. People went like, they're like, oh, Tesla's in a bubble. It's like literally the 98 run with the stock market crash of people just get speculating too much and it's just going to come crashing down. I don't know. Like, yeah, it's going to be pretty crazy to see how that plays out. I don't think it's a crash like with the overall market, but you just never know. But with Tesla, it's a fundamental company. Yes, it has a crazy evaluation, and it literally has a very flamboyant and very different thinking CEO than a lot of other companies that majority of people follow or invest in. So they kind of get like a certain premium on their stock and a little bit of a swagger, as they call it. So looking for this one, we're basically I like to always go back to the daily side. Looking for it to kind of hold. If it starts breaking down today below 1530, 1527, that trend's still intact. 'Cause that's where that parabolic SAR dot is in. Again, I think once the bell goes ding, 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 we could be seeing some pretty rapid volatility come in. Again, A lot of people are going to want to execute their trades because if they took a small profit on their calls or they are losing on their puts and things like that, we could see some. We'll see how that goes. J Trade says sell the rip, buy the dip. That's a great way to put it. Yeah, I think because this is their fourth quarter of profitability, and they can be they could get that checkbox checked to be able to join the S&P 500. I think that's basically between that and the good news that they still made a decent amount of cars. They could have made more, but again, remember their factory was closed in Shanghai for well over 30 plus days, and then you had a lot of other closures with the one in Fremont in California. So if that was still open and people were actually traveling and doing other things, I think they could have done substantially better. So not saying they could have hit that $2,000 limit, but I still, again, long-term investor in Tesla, so I would love to see it at 2,000, but I have to be reasonable. It's not it's still a stock. It's still a company. It's not like a godlike company here. It still has to have basic physics and basic gravity laws and things around that. So that's one, and then the other one we can talk about is the Chipotle, which I might want to get today. This one kind of came out a little bit of a hiccup. You can kind of see here, again, during the live stream, we saw it really come down to around 1150-ish, then made a nice strong bounce back, then kind of trading sideways, currently trading around 11, let's call it 1170, so nothing too crazy. We're only talking $10 lower where we closed last night, so nothing too substantial. So we'll see on how that overall plays out into today. We could get some selling on that. It seemed like the overall quarter wasn't terrible. It was just a little bit, we had an earnings run with, again, this is going to be happening to a lot of stocks. Like, this has been on a straight tear. Like, it's been holding that 5 and 8 exponential moving average and coming down a couple times, just tapping that 21 and 34, but it's just been, it's been a rocket ship, lack of better words. And then last, the one that we were always looking at was Microsoft, if I can type that in. So Microsoft, yeah, so this one was kind of a doozy. It was like a head scratcher for me as well, with the sense of like, WTF is going on there. Like, their Azure and multiple other businesses have grew 35%. Like, their Azure cloud technology and server storage grew substantially. Again, due to a lot of companies switching to more remote and more outside of their office networks. Azure, AWS, Google can help you do that. So that being said, I think it's kind of been a little of a skip in their swagger step here, and looking for the 21, which is basically the 21's kind of lined up where the 1272 extension from the previous high to low is coming into. So looking around 205 to hold. We're currently trading around 208, a little over 208. So looking for that to kind of hold, come into today. If it starts breaking below that, we're going to start looking for around $200 for that downside support. Ryan, you want to look at some BA? Yes, BA. They got earnings on the horizon too. So this is the one that we sold some puts on here around 175 a couple days, about a week ago now, and it's just been hovering around that $80, 180 limit. We built this really wonderful enchanted line here, and this has been really kind of holding the support here. Again, this is a make-believe line. There's no rhyme or reason around it. I just drew a line, and for some reason it's holding it. I don't know if it's magic, but just a little kidding there. But we do have a squeeze inside. RSI and volume has been fairly flat. The biggest thing is going to be coming down to this earnings here. Again, there's a lot of negative folks out there who are saying like, oh, it's going to crash because everyone's canceling their pre-order or their plane orders. It's sad because we're talking they had well over like 4,500 orders in for their planes. And then I think maybe 400 to 500 have already canceled. That is in the 15, almost 20-ish% of cancellations, but it's not a complete crash. A plane doesn't take 3 minutes to build. A plane takes, I believe, weeks to months to build, depending on what kind of components they're getting onto it. So they got a long runway, lack of better words, on being able to grow the company and have different things going forth. Again, I want to buy some longer dated calls potentially in this, but they're kind of rich, honestly. They're a little bit rich, so I might have to do some maybe 60 to 90 day out verticals potentially that are like maybe $5 to $10 wide. Normally I like to do them at the money or a little bit below it. We'll see how that plays out. With this, again, downward support is going to be coming in right on like the 170. The only thing that's kind of concerning is we still have the parabolic SAR that is kind of above the stock here, really kind of pushing it down. Again, we need to really break above this. I think what really happened and really affected the stock, without a doubt here, Ryan, was that we had that large movement previously. There was just too much FOMO, too much maybe ill-advised skepticism, and just too much, I won't say too much positive energy, but just too much optimism on what was really going on. And you can see that with multiple gap ups that really just kind of failed. And now it should have never have run up like this, because it really just kind of shook so many people out. And a lot of people are slightly concerned on holding this. So I think that this is going to continue to be, but it could be, again, like Ryan, it could be an AMD, which we could be seeing it in a very tight range here. You can kind of see that very tight range here via my Darvis boxes here. Basically trading in between that range of like the two, I want to call it like the 197 down to the 167. So those are going to be basically where I'm looking for it to kind of hold. That's kind of where I have my overall alerts from higher or lower. Heather says Twitter. Yeah, we can look at Twitter. Oops, that's the wrong button. So Twitter, again, they got hacked. Literally, if you're not familiar, what I read was that somehow someone got into the Twitter's admin Slack channel, and someone posted the the link and credentials to log into literally God mode for Twitter, and that's exactly how this person got. It wasn't like a compromised hack. It was just someone posted something, and someone saw it, and then it was just, yeah. Anyways, with Twitter, we can kind of look here at after hours here. I didn't follow the earnings on what they said, Heather, so I didn't know if are they getting more revenue from the overall more ad revenue coming in. So it's kind of like we kind of went a little bit, we sold some puts and Snap, and that was a pretty good play for us this week as well. We didn't get on Twitter, honestly, because I was too busy regarding all the fun stuff with the huge earnings of Tesla, Microsoft, and Chipotle last night, honestly, and I only have about, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 brain cells, so my brain cells were too occupied with those guys instead of looking at Twitter. I think, yeah, I'm always the contrarian better as well. What kind of position did you have in this, Heather? Thank you, Ryan, for the 6K subs. Yeah, yeah. We're slowly grinding. We're slowly going higher. You steady Eddie here. So with Twitter, so it's got up to. We can go back to the daily side. So I have the Fibonacci retracements from the previous high to low. We really need to stay above that $36 limit, which looks like currently earnings has already been above that. So looking for that to continue to hold and trade between that 5 and 8 exponential moving average. We looked at overhead resistance at $40 or $40.32. That's the 78.6 percentile move from the previous high to low. I'm looking for this to potentially be some little slightly overhead resistance. If there could be some buyers and some folks coming in this week or the next following week, we could get that push above 40, and potentially 45 would be next in line. As of right now, going to keep it on a very tight range, potentially holding it. If it starts breaking below 36, potentially next line of resistance is going to be around 34 and then down to 33 for that previous 50% hold here. And really seeing a lot of support around the 200-day exponential moving average, which you see a lot of the times with a lot of stocks. So that was that. Am I making any plays today? Nothing. I gotta look up what's what's going on here with some earnings play is like I'm starting to look at some stuff for next week, like Visa. So oh yeah, I made fun of. I got some crap for this. I made fun of called this a boomer stock, and I got some flack for it. But AT&T reported again. This literally doesn't go anywhere each time it reports. Really, it doesn't do much of anything. It's basically up 2 pennies. So I always make fun of that. For some reason, I always like to bet. I'm a contrarian bettor, Ryan. I think you know that by now. So Facebook is just like, it's really just getting kind of beaten up here once this loads. That the 1272 extension here is looking kind of enticing for me to kind of break that 248 dollar-ish limit. It's a major boomer stock. They pay a great dividend though, Ryan. Don't make fun of those boomers on their dividend. So it's been holding that 21 fairly well. Again, we had that little mix up there with some folks leaving the service and leaving and boycotting the company. But like, okay, it really just made a pretty much a V bottom here and just ripped higher here, and now just kind of trading sideways. It's really consolidating here, which I kind of like, but it can also be very scary. We can see on how it's not breaking any signs of going looking for it kind of trading sideways. It hasn't broken the 21-ish, but it's close. It's close. So around like 238-ish, if it starts breaking and closing below 238 and getting down to 236, we could see some potential downside. But I kind of want to buy maybe some of this to see on the potential rise up to like the 250 or the 248, because we're basically knocking on the door here and just waiting for to get that to break through that, honestly, that line of resistance. I don't know, like I do add fundamental analysis to my stuff, but I'm looking at the chart here. With earnings coming out next week, it looks like this really wants to kind of really break through this wall here or this ceiling, but I just don't know how to properly do that yet. I don't know if I'm going to be selling puts, if I'm going to be buying like a butterfly up here, things like that. So we can look at that. So speaking of butterflies, Ryan, I think we talked about this on the Discord. The Tractor Supply Company. Oh, this has had a really great earnings there, and whoa, let me get in some water. Oh, excuse me, I sneezed. So with Tractor Supply Company, this thing has been a rocket ship, and it's just been a grinder. Between that 5 and 8 exponential moving average, this is what we're talking about. Like this is a trend, and this is what you should be studying. A trend like this, holding the 5 and 8, coming down to the 21 just a couple times, and we'll see how that goes. And it's just literally, we had a price target at 145. We got into this a little bit a couple days ago. I think I posted it, and it's just been breaking through that. And now we're talking it's $5 higher where we're currently at now. So it's just been kind of a really great performer without a doubt. So we'll see how this plays out today. So we sold the one. What do we sell? A butter. So if you're not familiar with a butterfly, basically what you're doing is you're buying a spread of basically. I'm sorry, we did the 152s. Yeah, 152s. We sold these, 2 of these, and then bought. I think it was $5, so 145. No, we did it. Okay, we did the 150. So we're actually might be potentially down on this trade a little bit because we didn't know that was going to be popping up that much today. That's a pretty strong quarter without a doubt. Mr. Bear trying to wake up. You drink coffee, Mr. Bear? Yeah, selling options on Tesla is basically what I've been doing. Just been trading around my core position of stock and just been selling puts. Even just selling those selling calls. Like again, those calls in Tesla. Like just for this Friday, they had like 25. They had for this Friday. I think the highest call they had was like 2,500, I believe. Yeah, so 3,500. you can't just to sell this basically naked. You're gonna have a pretty large trading account and most likely on portfolio margin. But you could have made some simple spreads here, even around like the $2,000 or $2,500 dollar limit, maybe collecting a couple shekels here. But this is extremely super volatile, and the IV again was at 230, 240 at times, super highly elevated. So, and normally the options money makers, market makers are normally fairly right. Again, they're right about 80%, 90% of the time on the expected moves. You do have those larger 1 to 2 deviation moves at times, but this is, Tesla's with that run they've already had. Again, we talked about this quite a bit with those multiple gaps ups coming into earnings. It's just been really crazy without a doubt to see on how this has really been trading. Again, what we did for this play, we sold I believe it was the 1350s or 1360s, and then we sold like the 1500 puts all the way out. Tesla 3000 calls. Yeah, you're gonna get. If you think Tesla's gonna get 3000 tomorrow, I'm gonna need to check your how many brain. You might have less brain cells than I do. I only have 4. You might have 2. Yeah, it's gonna be hard. I think it's gonna settle down, to be quite honest, Ryan. Like, kind of just a little bit of trading sideways and see on how it overall reacts. But it's gonna be a pretty interesting trade here. I think that it's kind of gonna be in silent mode. I won't say call it silent mode, but basically in more of like a trading range mode potentially. Because again, I think this has moved up so much. We could be seeing waiting for these moving averages to kind of catch up. Trading sideways anywhere from like 1700 to like 1500. I know that's a huge range, but we're talking about Tesla here, and that could be just trading sideways and just waiting for to see on how that plays out. Yeah, it's the 32K. So if you had portfolio margin, you can kind of get around that. So once I'm able to get to, I believe it's 125 or 100K in one account, I can get portfolio margin. So that those premiums maybe come down a little bit. Yeah, FOMO without a doubt. 100% FOMO. 100% FOMO. There's fundamentals involved in this, but they get the fundamental analysis basically gets smaller and smaller once the stock just continues going higher, because that FOMO is really just taking over it. Other couple things that I wanted to look at. What did we want to look at? Costco was kind of one on my radar as well. It's been holding the 325 level pretty well, being a nice steady eddy as well. This is kind of a boring stock. Again, we're not talking about a crazy technology, but they got pretty damn good danishes and muffins, and they got a great selection of meats that I always barbecue with. They have delicious pork butts. I don't know why I'm making an ad for Costco, but great stuff at Costco. Looking for potentially the next price target overhead ceiling of resistance at 338. That's going to be the 1272 extension from the previous high to low. Really, it's going to have to be a pretty strong quarter. I think Costco is one of the ones that can just bob and weed, kind of be like the MJ of the market, of just being so resilient and just such a large player in the market. It just kind of can get through things and get to the basket. I just watched the Last Dance on Netflix, so I got Michael Jordan and the Bulls on my mind. Trying to see. Let me see what. Oh, Logitech. Wait, is it E? No, I. So this is one that we've traded. We've got some longer dated calls in this as well. Again, not compare this to Tractor Supply, but the chart looks pretty much the same. Basically just trading between that 5 and 8 exponential moving average, and they continue going higher. really not even coming down to the 21. It's just been continue printing higher with more and more people switching to remote work, more people needing headphones, more people need keyboards, all this kind of stuff. I think this is going to be a huge continuous play into September and October for us. We have longer dated options, I believe in September and January of next year. This has been a fantastic performer as well. This is going to be, it's kind of been running off here. It's going to be hard to kind of buy the dip here to kind of see how this plays out. But this has been a very good performer in the last months, so be a hard one to kind of get into. Albert, yeah, we can look at Space. So Space is also one that we have. We're about 5 minutes out to the market open, so we're going to probably see some crazy volatility come in. We'll look at that Tesla stuff and see on how our overall portfolio takes within this market, and then we'll look for some potential trades as well for next coming earnings and things like that. Because I'm trying to see, where did it go? Is there anything with large earnings coming out today? I don't think there was anything quite. Let's see. Let me pull this back up. Because I think, yeah, Intel reports today and Skyworks Solutions, I believe. Yeah, Skyworks Solutions, Intel, Sam Adams, Discover Financial Services, E-Trade's coming out, Skechers. So it's nothing like too crazy. So we'll see how that overall plays out. But might look at there's some selling in premium in Intel. So with Space, basically from a previous high to low, we're hit that 50% retracement, which we wanted to see, which is great if you're long in this. Potentially want to see this continued and close above the $25.78 level, and seeing Google's earnings is today after? No, Google's not today, bro. Is it? We'll take a look. I think it's next week, my friend. Sorry, I gotta check that. No, Google's next week, the 7:30. So Space, we really need to see it above the $25.78 price target here, and then the next ceiling of resistance is going to be around $29 to $30 there. Again, that's going to be pretty much on the bullish side, the very bullish side. But again, we have earnings on the horizon. This is going to be a very speculative play due to the fact that, hey, this company really doesn't have generating that much revenue. No one's really flying to space yet. They are working with NASA on training folks over there to potentially bring in some revenue, but very much a speculative play on that without a doubt. So this is nothing that you should be a majority holder of within your portfolio if you want to be a smarter trader or smarter just overall investor in a company like this. So we got 2 minutes left before the market opens, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah, so we bought longer dated puts, like way out puts around $15, $16, and just been holding it because it really held that 200-day exponential moving average, and now it's making a nice little grind higher there without a doubt. Not really a grind. DraftKings, yes. So actually, who was it? We talked about this a little bit. So I got some emotional baggage on this one. Really did a misclick. Held the stock longer than I wanted. Thought I got out of it, but I didn't, and then I took a pretty large loss on it. Whatever. Mistakes happen. I'm human. I got my 4 brain cells. That's fine. That being said, we kind of made a strong recovery here, basically hitting a low around 27.42. We had that parabolic switch again, now breaking above that 21, seeing that 5 and 8 really cross over really strong. Like to see this potentially grind higher, get above that $38 limit there, which will be a great, very poised for a potential stronger move into 41. Again, this is going to be completely on the coattails of if the MLB, the baseball folks, the MLS, the soccer folks, NBA, and the NFL can get their stuff together and get the testing and the facilities and everything all set up for a season. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so we got about 30 seconds into the market open. So let's go ahead and just throw up Tesla, and we're going to see on how that overall opens up. It looks like it's a little bit higher at 1677. So we'll see how that opens up. Again, we can kind of draw those fibs here from the previous high to low. And there's the price target. There we go. So I'm currently looking at, again, the first 15 minutes is going to be the most emotional. And of course, tickers are going crazy here. Ranges are going crazy. TLT is above. Oh, that's strange. That's going to be slightly concerning. So we'll look at that as well. You're going to hear a lot of dings on my end because that's usually what happens. I have price targets set up the wazoo, so we're going to see a lot of trading here. Again, hitting that overhead around the 1680-ish level, kind of now getting up and about. We're still up 5%, so a nice little move there. I'm going to be switching to my overall options chains. A lot of things are fairly down. Amazon's down 15 bucks. Apple's down $1.50. Microsoft's down to $4 or $5. I got filled in my Microsoft there. Got out of that position. That was a nice, simple, profitable trade there that I set up an execution for. I just sold those puts. That was a nice 50, 60 bucks there. Let's see what else is going on here. FAS Logi is fine. Nvidia's hovering around plus 25 cents. Yeah, Tractor Supply is killing me. That's a great move for them. Like that's much stronger than I thought, honestly. Tesla up 85 bucks. Nice little move there. Still going higher. TLT, let's take a look at TLT for a second. So TLT is basically 20-year bond notes. We had okay, so it broke my first price target. I'm gonna put this back right about here. Again, this is usually if the TLT goes higher, the S&P 500 goes lower. So it's kind of like that really strange inverse of that. To see how that plays out, yeah, we'll see about going forth with that. Let's see on how some other things are going. So we got AMD. AMD's up, 35 cents, still going higher, hitting another all-time high today. Yes, virtual high five, Ryan. Tesla gone flying. Volume definitely coming in for sure. What about EA? Yeah, EA. So I play video games. I enjoy video games. The new Star Wars, I think it's like a Rogue Squadron, the initial game that they did way back when, where you're simulating flying an X-Wing and things like that. That looks pretty interesting as well. That's supposed to be coming out soon. Not how that's going to be playing out. So with EA, they also have earnings coming out as well. I think that this could be a surprise as well. So I kind of want to look at this one. This is a great, thank you, Mike, for bringing this one up. It's coming out the 30th, so that's like Thursday, so a week from now. Potentially, let me move this all the way up here. We want it to hold above the $135 limit there to kind of see how this trades. We'll see on that that continues to go. It's kind of just been trading sideways like a lot of other stocks. It's kind of had a very large move and now just kind of trading sideways. Let's see how the old Facebook's doing. They're down just slightly. Again, we're looking for it to kind of really hold that 21 here, that 34 really. Nothing too shabby here. We're kind of losing a little bit of momentum here. Looking for, if it does really sell off hard, we're looking for that support around 230 if it starts coming down to that limit there. Let me scan over back to my portfolio. AMD's. Interesting. Tesla's down now, only up 50 bucks now to 48, 47. Kind of getting a little smacked around there. Yeah, it's kind of coming off a little bit. Not a fantastic buying opportunity. A buying opportunity for me would need to go substantially lower, honestly. So we'll see how that plays out. Overall market, a little bit of just, I don't want to say frothy, but a little bit of heavy here. Again, the first 10 to 15 minutes in the market trading hours is kind of just a complete crazy show in the sense of what things are going on. Looking at Amazon here, basically down $35, aka a little over 1% here. Really wanting it to hold around the $30,000 limit here. This is where we kind of sold some puts around that limit. Looking for that potentially to hold. Again, that has earnings as well coming out the 30th. So a week from today would be Amazon. Let's see how that overall just plays out with that fun stuff. Let's see. Got another alert. Nice. I sold some random. I bought some random calls in Mattel. That's a great little profit there. I'm going to take that profit right there. It's hitting that 1166 limit where I had that 618 out. So we're going to take some selling that there. That was a nice little trade. Yeah, a red opening doesn't mean bad. Like, the thing that I'm always concerned about, and a lot of people get a little bit too emotional over heavy, if the let's just look at SPY. So if it opens up completely green and we're up like 4 or 5%, then it pulls back. I think that scares people more. I'd rather just kind of open up just a little bit of lackluster, maybe just flat, and then continue grinding higher. I'm not that kind of guy where I like to see it up 2 or 3% and then just continuing skyrocketing higher. It's really just basically shooting all your ammo all at once and not having enough dry powder throughout the day to kind of slowly grind higher and show some support throughout some key trading times in the day. Again, we've only been trading for about 6 minutes now, so everything looks fairly just really just trying to rebalance things. Chegg, man, this is not giving me the opportunity to buy any options on this. This thing has been pretty insane. And Tractor Supply's up $5 still. Oh my gosh. Look at that. That's beautiful. That's a gap up. We're talking about, this is not a technology company. This is a Tractor Supply company. Yeah, exactly. Anything can happen. Just remember that. Don't tie your emotions to what you could think can happen. You got to have your mindset of like, anything can happen, and I'm not going to let my emotions dictate that. I know that sounds really frothy or like lame, but it's literally, if you can control your emotions on stocks and not putting an emotional value into it, and just let the charts, the fundamentals, or whatever how you trade dictate your decision making, you'll be doing fantastic. My cousin's a manager at Tractor Supply. Ryan, I hope your cousin has some shares in the company where they give some kind of buyback or some way in their 401k or something. That's great. Saying he's been crazy busy. I'm sure, like, again, everyone wants to be the gardener. Everyone wants to be that stay-at-home farmer now since everything slows down and no one can go on vacation. A couple other ones that I had on my simpler buy list was like Love. Oh, I don't want to buy that right now. Love, they had earnings. Okay, they had it today, didn't they? Before the market. Again, looking for support around that $31 level for Love if you're in the airlines. Not a fan of the airlines right now, without a doubt. But yeah, they can buy shares at 50% discount. He's been buying shares forever. Great. I'm happy for your cousin. I'm glad he's been able to take part of that. That's fantastic. Because I won't say it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, but it's definitely a fantastic opportunity for the companies able to basically, they buy back their own shares and they give it to their employees at a discounted rate. And again, having the full-on interest of trying to bring the company even higher. So he has more skin in the game. He's got to give much better service if he has $20,000 worth of Tractor Supply stock, right? He doesn't want that to go down, and he wants to have the overall company continue performing well. Love is in a really weird squeeze here. It's kind of slightly breaking down here. I don't know. It's going to be a hard one to kind of digest here. We can kind of see how this plays out. Potentially, this could continue going down. We can see that kind of fail here. If it starts failing around 33.50, we could see some for potential downside because that volume oscillator and RSI is kind of going lower. it's going to be too late to sell some calls in this or something like that, because that premium is most likely gone already. So let's look at love. Love is in the air. Yeah, there's not really much I can do in that. Yeah, there's not much I can do in that. The IV is actually still pretty high in this, actually. I take that back in August. That is insane. Okay. I don't know. We'll see how this happens. It doesn't sound like a good quarter. It's only down 2 or some odd %. I don't want to be piggybacking on this and just continue driving it lower, but we'll see on that how overall plays out. I don't like to trade right within the first 30 minutes because that's going to be super emotional. So, in the sense of a lot of people just making these really drastic calls. Looking at some further looking stuff, Visa is one on my radar to kind of break out. So we're actually going to buy some Visa here. We like Visa. So we're going to look at V. We are going to probably sell some puts here. Let's see here. Be a little bit aggressive here. Let's do this. Okay, we sold the 195 and then bought the 190 for August 21. Looking for it to continue to break above 200 here, so we really need. Why is that all the way up there? Need that there. If that can come down, please. Didn't really support there. Okay, so that is one. Zoom, that's still going somewhat to the moon. That's an interesting one for sure, Mr. Charles. I don't even know how to sometimes combat this one. Let's see here. What do I think about Win? I've been trading downwards since the 15th. Let's see here. It's a casino stock. It's been trading down since the 15th. Yeah, it's kind of a. I don't like to draw magical lines, but we can kind of look at seeing the potential downward movement. So if I go swing to this chart here, especially on the daily side, it's in the short-term trend is just kind of just trading sideways. But I can see that your longer dated trend lines, you're looking at basically that 110 that kind of got up to 109, and it's really being cut down like this. So that's like I don't know, wedge pattern, whatever the folks want to call it, like this. And then potentially, let's just draw it like this. Potentially looking for that sign of support like that here. Again, that parabolic SR has just switched. I think that 5 and 8 have crossed through the 21, so this is not really a great sign. It looks like it has earnings coming up. Again, it's a question mark on when the earnings is coming up. Again, it looks like it's going to be the first week of August, but I think that this could potentially have some further downside. Let me look on the longer time frame on the weekly side. On the weekly side, it doesn't look too terribly bad. It just really needs to break above that $85 limit. I think this is kind of like BA, where there's a BA and a lot of the other stocks where those people got a little bit too far ahead of themselves. And this whole swing up, basically to the $110 level, should have never have happened. It was just the FOMO and just the overall rush of like, oh, everything's fine, let's just go, let's put money in the market. But then it was kind of shooken up of like, hey, wait a minute, like maybe things aren't as great as we thought. And now just kind of particular, just trading sideways and really needs to prove itself again. Plato. What up, man? How you doing, man? Thanks for joining. Hope everyone's enjoying the fantastic very first Dyslexic Investor AM trading hours. I'm looking at Amazon's making a nice rebound. Tesla's up only $30 now, $32. What I'm looking at is glancing at my portfolio here. Looking if anything is concerning or really just bleeding me red. DraftKings has been flat. Facebook is up pretty good. So let's see. We talked about Facebook in the early before the pre-market stuff, and it's looking like it's trying to get above that 21. So we are going to buy some Facebook here as well. Trying to have to work that one a little bit, maybe selling some puts there, looking for that movement higher into the next coming days. I think this could be poised for a nice little movement without a doubt. Let's see here. Let's see how that goes. Get some Facebook. So with Facebook, what we're looking at is it's again had that when all those folks are leaving the platform and saying that F you Facebook, we're going somewhere else, boycotting it, whatever. Made that V-shaped bottom, kind of come back. Really been holding that 21 and 34 here very well on the daily side, and now it's getting a potential little pop here up $2. We're seeing the momentum kind of switch here, but I think with earnings on the horizon, I think this is really just trying to break above that $248 limit there, which is the overhead ceiling here, looking for potential higher prices there. Beyond Meat's up pretty nice today. CRM's nice. DraftKings finally just turned green. Apple's still down $1.85, so that's a little concerning because it's usually the market darling, and that usually helps dictate the potential price of the next coming movement and things like that. I need to put a little bit of more money into work. I'm going to wait here just a little bit to kind of see how things are playing out. Got any more charts that you want to look at? I'm just going to start perusing around looking for some potential moves here. So we bought some ABBV a little bit ago, really holding that 21 here. Again, also holding that the previous high at the 100% move around $97. Kind of been just kind of in this squeeze, looking for a potential pop into earnings or even holding it into past earnings due to the fact of the momentum of the virus and things like that. Some other ones, Spot. So Spotify has been a super high flyer as well. We've been trying to buy this one basically around $245. Have not been able to get in that. We nearly missed it by like $2 or $3 when it hit the 21 here. Didn't have the cojones to buy it, but this one could definitely be a pretty large market move when the earnings comes out there as well. QCOM is again our 5G play. We sold some puts in that one. It's really been holding that 5 and 8 and 21, that 21 pattern very well. Again, earnings coming out for this one soon as well. And we close the sun finally came up here. Sun's right in my eyes, my windows. Close the blinds there. Shop. So Shop is again huge performer as well. Been really hitting that 21 here as well. It kind of coming down, trading sideways again. A lot of these stocks have been just kind of lackluster and just taking its time, rebuilding, regrouping. We call it building a base here, and for potential pop higher into the $10-$35-ish range. I want to see how this one actually plays out here. Let me look at the options chain, and we can kind of see on what's going on there. Shop. So they have earnings on the 29th, so Wednesday. Is it after or before? Before market. So they have, okay. So next Wednesday AM they have earnings. This is a strange one, Mr. Grinch. Let's see here. So they're having this next weekend. They're saying plus or minus $120, and the IV is well over 100% within this trading tab. So we can kind of look here. I want to see if there's any large options coming through in this guy. Nothing too concerning because what we're looking for is like a large move. So we're seeing this particular move right here could be somewhat interesting due to the fact that the 67 delta, so anything above like 45 or 50 delta, normally they are sorry, just got Trump there. So that just went away. That sucked. I should have clicked on that before that went away. Let's see if I can find that sucker. it's too much. I don't want to bore you guys with going through the options chain there. But it was basically the 24, the 31, I think it was the 31 actually, to play weeklies, and it was around 64 delta, so that's a pretty substantial move. What we could see here on the options chain, so around the 60th delta was probably around here. So we're seeing a lot of buying here. This is the open interest, and actually let's click on the volume. So a lot of options buying here deep in the money around the 930, which I kind of wanted to sell some puts around that range, which would be kind of interesting as well. But again, there's not crazy amount of open interest. When you want to sell puts, you want to see a lot of open interest and the ability to be able to get in and out of those trades fairly well. So we'll see how that continues to go throughout the day. Let's see here what else is going on here. Tesla's dropping. What is Tesla doing? Yeah, Tesla's around $30. It got up to $80 plus, and now it's down to, it's only up 30. So yeah, it's going to swing around like we talked about. The first 30 minutes is going to be pretty volatile for a lot of things. Chris, what do you think about Microsoft? Yeah, let's go ahead and take a looky-loo over there. So it's kind of made a strong recovery here, which is great. Honestly, I think, again, what we talked about on the live stream yesterday, we really don't want to give, we want to wait till at least 10:30 Eastern or 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time to kind of get the fair market value of what stocks do after earnings. So around 10:30, 11 o'clock, I can give you a much more decent understanding of what Microsoft, Chipotle, and Tesla and any other company that reported last night will do, due to the fact of, hey, this is what we can move forward in the sense of trading. Again, there's going to be a lot of emotional trading when things come out. You have earnings, large news, people are short, long, whatever. It takes time for those trades in the market to digest all that information, and it kind of consolidates down and then spits out numbers. That's basically what the market does, and it gives you what the overall, again, the market is the market god, and they allow the certain ranges and prices and what dictates the company. I don't put any emotional value in it. Don't listen to what the talking head said. Just literally looking at price and volume is basically the most simplistic way to look at charts. So with this, the price is saying it's at 210. So again, we're holding this trend still intact. That 5 and 8 has been moving pretty much. It's been sideways the last week or two, but again, on the coattails of earnings. But if it can continue closing above the 205, potentially start grinding higher a little bit and breaking above that 213, $212 to 213, we see this parabolic SAR switch to the bottom again, and we can get a nice little move uptrend to potentially the $224 overhead next ceiling of resistance there, Chris. Need to get another cup of coffee here. Okay, let's see here. Intel. Let's look at Intel. So Intel's supposed to have earnings today after the close. Maybe we can sell some premium in that sucker. I think this has kind of moved already. What is Intel? Is it INT? What is Intel? Oh my gosh! Don't judge me, folks. There we go. So it's only up just a spatter a little bit here. So what we like to do here, again, has earnings after close. Looking at what the options chain is saying, so they're playing plus or minus $3. So $3 higher would be around AKA 64 ish, and then to the downside would be around 57 ish. So again, 57 is going to be down to where the 200-day is in the sense there. I would rather be selling those kind of puts there. So let's go ahead and see what those suckers are going for. Thank you, man. You got me, my friend. Tesla's dropping hard. It is. It's only down $10 from where we just looked at it. Again, I think ZZZ is that it had a huge earnings move already into earnings, so it literally needed to cure multiple diseases for it to continue going higher. And I think this is a somewhat reasonable price range. Like we saw some other quarters, again, it's going to be potentially grinding and trading sideways for a little bit, and we'll see how that plays out. With Intel, let's go ahead and look at the options chain here. Earnings Thursday, plus or minus $3. So we're seeing a lot of open interest here on these. I'm looking for more of the put side. A lot around the 56. Again, we're seeing 5,000 plus contracts there. A lot of volume coming around the 58. So let's see what we can get for those when we go to INTC. Want to be very, very, very. Might give myself a little bit more time to sell these. I'm gonna go 57, 58. I might just sell the next week's options actually a little bit if I can get. Let's see, with the 31st, so we can kind of see 20. I might do that. We'll do that. Oops, wrong account. I just traded that in the wrong account. So I have multiple accounts on my Tastyworks account, and I just did it on the wrong account, but that's fine. We'll see what happens. Who gets executed first? That is working there. So again, we're trying to sell the 58, and then we're buying the 56. So we're just doing like a small put credit spread there. Again, this is just a quick earnings play. Once earnings come out tomorrow, we'll be getting out of it. Yeah, Tesla's down to $10 now, so yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Again, it could come down to $1,500. Like, we'll be fine with that. Thoughts on ZM or DocU? Yeah, we can look at. So we looked at ZM initially. That's been a very interesting trade here. It's just trading sideways here between the 5 and 8 and then the 21, really bouncing hard off the 34 here, and kind of looking for it to trade sideways here. I don't see any earnings on the horizon. It's not in negative territory. Space up another 5%. Yeah, I saw that on my account. It's been great. Looking for it to really break above the 275 if you're going to be a bull on it. If you're going to be a bear on it, you really need to see the 5 and 8 start crossing over and breaking through the 21, and the tick start closing below the $248 or $250 range. We can start seeing that lower as well. Potentially looking for some downside to 230 if you're going to be a bear on it. Again, no earnings on the horizon. It's looking for the potential. The squeeze is building up, and no really signal on the direction. But RSI and volume oscillator is kind of flat. I would guess this would go higher, honestly, just due to the overall market. We can kind of look at some particular trades on that. And then DocU, how are they doing today? Yeah, this is beautiful. So I think let's do. I kind of want to get in some action at Zoom. That looks really interesting. That 217 on DocU hit that 21, bounced off it, come back to the 5 and 8 exponential moving average, and now continue going higher. Parabolic SAR switch, looking for a nice move higher into 217 plus on the moves. Again, no earnings for this one as well. I think that honestly ZM is going to be slightly behind this, and could be potentially seeing the same thing here. Again, this has kind of been a market darling, so we're going to be looking at this one as well. So let's go ahead and make sure we're in the right account this time. Let me cancel that. Sorry, I'm adjusting some things. I got about 40 some odd positions on I'm trying to handle. So ZM looking for that move potentially to break above the 275-ish level. Again, they don't have earnings out until September. Wow, okay. That's what Tastyworks is saying. That's pretty substantial ways out. To see how this overall plays out. Oh, I just got filled in Intel. Again, I sold the 58 and bought the 60 for puts, selling the premium. So 75, what is this? 160. I know this seems kind of boring that you guys are watching this, but this is what really happens in the trading stuff. Getting some more alerts coming through. Okay, so it's 10 o'clock, so this is basically where the kind of the emotional stuff lasts, and really getting some more understanding of what's going on in the market and not getting that overall emotional stuff attached to it. So let's go ahead and close that out. You got some plays on both of them, more or less. They're like the virus plays. Yeah, I think I totally agree with that analysis, without a doubt. We'll see on how that goes. Let's see here. Let's see, and we're going, checking these streams here. FOMO's too real. And yeah, what's Tesla? Let's see what they're doing right now. They kind of bounced around again, really came through. I'm really looking for something in play in ZM, honestly. This is really enticing. Let's see, I want to play this and that. So they're $5 wide. I don't think I can do that, no. I'm trying to get some, sell some puts in Zoom around the 250 potentially. Basically the 255 or 250 here, we're kind of looking at here. Again, being a little bit more conservative, potentially going down to the looking more towards the 250 range for the next week or so, just trading sideways. With the overall market just kind of just being a little blah, but some companies really coming out and really doing very well. I think that the overall stocks that are just doing really well in the sense of the virus and things like that, we'll see on, yeah. Any suggestions on how to play T today? So T already had earnings in the morning, so that's AT&T. This one to the downside, it looks like it really wants to go lower, honestly. First initial support for the T is going to be around 29.30. If it breaks that, that could be substantially downside. And if you are going to be more bullish on it, you really need to stay above 30 and continue going higher there. We could play maybe a butterfly. Do 10, 10, 10 for $1. See if I can get filled in that. Interesting. Tesla still up 20 bucks, so we'll see how that overall plays out. Tractor Supply is coming off a little bit. TLT still up a little bit. Let's see what else we got. Nvidia's up at $3. Apple's down $2 now, so this is one that's a little strange. They also have earnings coming out next week as well. We just had that parabolic SAR switch to the bottom, to the top, from the bottom to the top, and it's in a really tight range here. Momentum's kind of coming off a little bit. RSI's not crashing, but it's kind of trading sideways here a little bit. Again, most likely just waiting on anticipation of earnings coming out here. next week. Is it next week? The 30th? Yeah, so it's basically a week from today. Apple will come out and see how they perform. Like, again, I think we'll be quite surprised on how they honestly move from there. Alpaca, yeah, it could be, yeah. T-Mobile. I mean, AT&T could definitely trade sideways, but I'm just giving you the guidelines of if you want it to continue going higher, it needs to break 30. If it wants to go lower, it's got to break below that 29 or 28 level or whatever I told you. Let's see here. BA, still just a nice steady Eddie here with BA, really just holding that magical line here, really just grinding into earnings potentially coming out next week. Or not potentially, the earnings will be coming out next week, but we'll see what happens. This is going to be definitely one to watch for without a doubt, to see how this one performs. Trying to see if anything else is popping off. Like MU is looking really strong as well. This is kind of similar to how AMD is performing. It's been kind of out of that trading range about 51 to 52. Now it's breaking out as well. So we're kind of on the coattails of what we're looking at. It's Intel as well, on how they could be performing. So we might be taking a little bit more of a bullish position on Intel for an earnings play. So we could just do... But make sure I'm on the right account this time, so I'm not selling the wrong thing here. What am I? Let's see here. We're gonna ask for a buck. See if we can get the zoom there. Zscaler has been up pretty nice. That's been a nice little trade for us as well. That's ZS, not ZM. Yeah, this has just been grinding higher. We've been buying here the 21 here. We've been buying stock in this one actually in particular, and just been slowly just grinding higher there. It's been a nice little move there. Trying to see. So Tastyworks has this great little thing on telling you what's coming out for earnings, but I kind of wish it kind of gave you a date. It's a little difficult to tell what's going on there. Look at Microsoft. Sure, we can look at that. We talked about Microsoft a little bit here. Initially, we needed to hold around the 205, the 204 level. Maybe buy puts. No, I would say nay on that one. For me, I wouldn't be able to buy puts. I actually like this one to continue trading sideways between, if it holds the 205 to 204 dollar price target, we could be seeing some more just trading sideways, looking for a potential move to break above that the 213 to 214 dollar limit there. I would sell. I maybe sell some puts around the 204 to potentially the 200, but yeah. GTFO. What are you saying? Oh, space. Oh, missed. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong count there. I just saw. Oh, I can't. Yeah, I'm not gonna touch this with a 10-foot pole, my friend. I have no idea what's going on here with this one. That's way too speculative for me. That's gonna be, yeah. This is you're hoping that this is gonna hold and not get above the $9.80 and potentially trades go lower. Like this is where FOMO comes in, and it can really just ruin you and ruin your account. And that's not my cup of tea to trade like that. I'm sorry, my friend. Someone's talked about space. So space is up a little bit today again. Yeah. So we're seeing, looking for that move between 25.78 for that the 50% retracement from the swing high to low at $25.78, looking for that move to $29. We've been holding that 5 and 8 exponential moving average for quite some time, looking for that move again to like $30. We do have earnings on the horizons. We'll see on how that overall movement is going to be contained with earnings that's really just coming up just around the corner. So we'll have to see on how that continues to trade and do well for us. Looking for a potential higher highs. Again, there's a lot of folks that potentially bought up here. So you saw a lot of volume coming in here, a lot of it around 30, 28, 30. So there's could be a lot of overhead resistance coming up here. The people that could have been holding it and just never got out of it, and then potentially could be selling off here on the $30 lever. You're welcome, Joshua. No problem. No offense taken. Hopefully on your end. Microsoft is not really coming down crazy. Like, I think some people had their expectations a little bit too further out than they really should have, and things are kind of coming down to so forth. We have talked about AMD, but we can talk about it again because it's one of our core positions. It's again been trading in that range, Plato. I'm sure you've seen this quite a few times on the live streams. Been trading in this range, nothing really to write home about. Finally breaking above the breaking out above the $58 target, really going really strong, hitting an all-time high today. Looking again to potentially maybe take a break up here at these levels, and then kind of wait on how Intel reports after the bell today. And again, earnings for this and for AMD is next week, so I think that's going to be Tuesday the 28th. Yeah. So Tuesday the 28th for AMD. Potentially, again, we're going to take in our first profits around $65. Again, anything can happen. This can come back down to 50. Who knows? But we'll see how it plays out. Looks fairly strong here with a lot of volume here. Only the concern is that it's a pretty large move coming into earnings, so there could be some large wagering and bets going on. I'm definitely going to be working on a video today or tomorrow regarding some interesting options activity with AMD once I kind of do and comb through the options chains there. So again, we're getting close to that $10.30 to $10.30 time frame. So this is going to be really where things are somewhat reasonably priced at. So the market has time to digest. People have time to reflect on earnings, read through earnings reports, and just looked at what's going on here. Tesla actually down for the day now, down 1%. This could be, again, it's going to be super volatile, trading sideways. I think a lot of the particular folks who are waiting for 2000 to happen this Friday really got their dreams popped and slapped across the face and looking for potentially selling here. This is going to be a little bit more reflecting. I think around 11 to 11:30 we'll see a really stable price within Netflix. I mean within Tesla and all the other companies that we talked about with earnings. Looking for that potential just movement to continue just trading sideways here for a little bit, and we'll see how that overall plays out in the market. The only concern here with Tesla is if it starts breaking below, really going to be breaking below like the 1475, it could really get a lot of momentum going and come down to the 21, which is around 1388, which again, anything can happen in the market, but we'll see on how that overall plays out there. So let's see. There hasn't been that much IV. The IV, which is the implied volatility, or the in volatility. Oh my gosh, what am I thinking here? The IV is the implied volatility on the options. Has not really been sucked out of a lot of the companies yet, especially with Tesla, because it's still moving. Now we're talking about down $30. It was up $80 just about an hour ago when it first opened up, but now it's just kind of just bouncing around, trading sideways for whatever reason. The only thing is kind of like concerning here is Apple's down now about nearly $5, so we could be seeing some selling until like 11 o'clock time range. So you can see here that this switch has happened with Apple, looking for some downward support around 376 if things can start going sideways. So we'll see how that overall plays out with that fun stuff there. Let's see if there's anything else that's really on the radar. Let's see here. Facebook kind of gave back all its gains that we looked at initially. Nothing to write home about there. The reason I always look at Apple, because Apple is the market darling, and if this thing starts to fail, then the whole market could slowly kind of come down a little bit. So we'll have to be very mindful of that. If you're going to be doing a lot of trading, it's going to be very volatile to that. Spot, I think it could go to 280. So we did talk about spot just really fast initially. It can go to 280. So 280 is basically where the 5 EMA kind of comes into. So we'll see on how everything's going there. So if it starts breaking below that, I think it can go to 280 without a doubt. That's within range without a between the 5 and 8 exponential moving averages that can come down to that price target without a doubt. But I think we're starting to see some things kind of go a little crazy. Like some people are saying SPY is crapping out. Nothing too crazy here on the daily side, so I always kind of keep myself to the daily chart. If you're looking at a 5-minute chart or a 1-minute chart, it could be pretty drastic moves, but I like to keep myself a little bit further away from the fluxes of the movement. So we could be seeing Alex some selling into like the next 45 minutes. Again, so a lot of the European markets are going to be closing up around 10:30 and 11 our time, Eastern Standard Time, and they could be seeing some large trades coming in, swings left and right. So it's usually around 11, from 11 to like 3, you get like the lulls in the market where there's nothing really much going on, and then you get that next influx of trading and new volatility coming in the market around 3 o'clock. Yeah, so SPY, if it really wants to crap the bed, it needs to fall down to basically 223 today and then continue trading lower. That's would be really a mindful large move and gap down, or large sell-off in the sense of going down multiple percents. Being down just a little bit here is nothing really to write home about for me. Because again, we're not doing much intraday trading. We're just really just getting the opportunity to buy things at slightly discounted prices here. Let's see here. Did we? Yeah, we got into Visa, so we're sold the 195. Oops. Just did something there. What was that? Yeah, I'm betting on sideways as well. That's sideways action is just going to be somewhat. We have a lot of volatility. I think a lot of people are just waiting on what's going to happen with how many schools. So the school district where I live they're going full remote as well. So it's going to be kind of a crink on some stuff. So we'll see how that plays out with the overall country. NCC 1701, thoughts on FNKO. I don't know what that is. I hope it's not a penny stock. Oh, what is this? What does this do? This looks somewhat negative to me. No, take that back. It's the only reason I'm seeing it's negative has been it's been well below the 200-day exponential moving average on the daily side. We'll see on how that overall plays out. It's not a good move. It's trying to potentially break up here. It's making a nice little base here, trying to get that squeeze and momentum going higher, but we need to see that volume oscillator to go positive and RSI start curling up. Looks like it has questionable earnings coming out in sometime in August, so this could be a nice little rise up here. But if it starts breaking below the 5 and 8, start crossing through the 21, and starts breaking below 536, we could see some further potential downside. Initial upside support is going to be really need to break above and close above the $650. SVFE, why is Tesla stock falling so much even after profit? it's all about what people's expectations are for the company. Yes, it had a great quarter, but again, leading up to this, there was too much expectation on it going to 2,000, and even talks of it going to 3,000. You're talking to companies, the stock. There is fundamental physics in the stock. Like a stock cannot literally double. Like if Tesla wanted to go to $2,000 to $3,000 by Friday, you needed Tesla to really come out and just have the cure for cancer, and then have the vaccine for the virus, like for it to hold these levels and those expectations. I think it's now just kind of coming into fruition. The folks who were super YOLO on it, or just thinking it's going to continue going to the moon, it's just kind of been a little bit lackluster. And I think people are hitting that reality. Like the longer term investor, the people who understand the market a little bit better, really are seeing like, hey, this stuff happens all the time. We're just getting a little bit of a consolidation in the market here. Joshua, Lathia Motors LAD. Never heard of that one as well. Wow. That's a great looking stock there. That's better than the penny stock you showed me. This one looks gangbusters. I have nothing to add to this one. This looks really well. Like, holy moly guacamole. Let's see what's on the Fibonacci saying here. It's going to be well past its 1272. Yeah, looking for the 1618 here. Looking for potential overhead ceiling of resistance around 228 to 229. The price target here for overhead ceiling, but again, this thing is literally off to the races, so that's a great looking stock if you're in it, my friend. You're welcome, my friend. You're very welcome for the explanation. I'm doing well, Billy. Hope you're doing well as well. Having a little fun day here, doing some AM live streaming here for the charts here. Well, again, we're not completely concerned here on, again, a lot of the tech leaders, the Amazons, the Apples, a little lackluster again today. I think just kind of trading sideways again. Everyone just thought that Tesla and Microsoft were just going to shoot the lights out, and the expectation was too great for the company to continue to deliver on it. So I just think that people need to maybe add a little bit more of a mindful mindset and kind of give it a more reasonable expectations without it. Josh, wow, thank you for the 99 cents. I appreciate it, my friend. Yeah, are you in the LAD stock? Handle, can you look at some of the options, time and sales for Tesla? Yeah, we can look at that. What you're probably going to see in the Tesla chain is just being a lot of folks getting out of it and just getting potentially let me close all these tabs. A lot of the premium. A lot of people are just going to be selling that premium. Again, we're going to see like crazy, like, yeah, 1,300. All these particular calls were just buying. Oh my God, this is actually pretty crazy. Okay. So someone bought a boatload here. 13. This looks like they're probably out of this already because this was purchased exactly 30 seconds into the market open. They were looking for a quick pump up and then just got out because this doesn't make too much sense. They're buying the 100 deltas or the 0.1 deltas here for that movement to continue going higher. But again, they're buying literally the expiration that's coming out tomorrow. And you can see here that someone sold this particular call, the 2800, which I thought would see more on the understanding of, again, Tesla hitting $2,800 by Friday is not reasonable at all. So I was interested to see a lot of this. This looks interesting as well. Again, it looks like a lot of potential spreads here, really playing this out to the long side. Again, just being a super quick trade, getting in and out really fast. Oh, thank you, Joshua. Did I miss something? Hey, Billy. NMRK. Do I know that? Let's see, what is this? I'm not familiar with this company, but it's kind of trending lower. It looks like it's trying to build a base here around the $4 limit here, but you're seeing that the parabolic SAR is still above it here. It does have earnings on the horizon, again, but 2 weeks out. Not familiar what this company does for the fundamental analysis of this. It kind of give me a little glimpse of if it's like, is this a cruise line or what is an airline? I don't know. Is it hospitality or something like that? This is what it kind of reflects to me as, because it's really just kind of been lackluster. It looks like a lot of people got ahead of themselves here, like we talked about with the airlines, the cruise lines, the BAs, and all kind of stuff. And this really kind of hurt the stock, and now it's really just got all that FOMO that happened, and people just been selling it and just been slowly grinding lower and lower and lower, looking for that potential move above 420, no pun intended, to really get above that $450 limit there. But again, with earnings on the horizon, it's real estate. Okay, so real estate, depending on what kind of real estate we're talking about, if it's commercial or residential, it's kind of been getting hit and miss here, without a doubt. Looking for that potential movement here. This has really been beaten up a lot. Let's kind of look here on the weekly side. This wasn't even performing that well even before the virus, so it doesn't really look the overall understanding of it doesn't look that too great. Like it hasn't been trading that very well even before the virus and the pandemic hit. So it's kind of it's not really getting it's not my really cup of tea there, Billy. Let's see here, and also APHA. So I'm not really into a lot of those cannabis stuff stocks. If you're looking strictly at the chart again, it's finally breaking above the 200-day here, which is great if you're in it. Again, with earnings on the horizon, earnings can be a complete crapshoot. I don't understand on the complete fundamental analysis. Again, it's still a federal crime here in the United States to have a company like this in the sense of selling marijuana. So it's going to be hard to get, like, they're still like a cash business. So like you only can grow so much, right? I don't know exactly how they do things, but this looks like a lot of overhead resistance. Looking for, if it comes down to like 450, if it starts breaking below 450, we could be seeing some downside. That's kind of where those parabolic SAR trend lines dots are at as well. Looking for, again, just trading sideways with earnings on the horizon. It's a coin flip for me, honestly, Billy. I can't give you too much of an understanding on this one. Pretty sure, yeah, it's going to have that huge run up with whenever those pot stocks were happening and everything, and now it's kind of just trading sideways, trading lower. Like, it's just, for me, it's not something that I want to get invested in. Yeah, so Andrew, just to be mindful that, again, folks, especially, let me go back to Tesla. It's basically, I want to call it a dream crusher in the sense of like, hey, it's called welcome to reality, folks, in the sense of like, hey, Tesla, for us to get to 2,000 or 1,800 or 2,500 that I was hearing about on some folks saying, oh, it's going to 2,500 by next week, it literally would need to give, like we talked about, the crazy analysis of like, hey, we actually sold double of what everyone expected, and we were able to drop all the margins and we're able to make all the cars basically for half the cost, and also in the meantime we also cured cancer. That's what the amount of expectations would need to have happened to hit like the $3,000 price target for this company. We've had a huge run up into earnings. Like, this is not this is very reasonable where Tesla's at right now. I think this is market makers and traders are like, well, what's going on here? It's very volatile. I think that a lot of people kind of understood that, but with multiple gap ups 2 weeks prior to the stock and having this huge candle right here, basically this huge run up on the 13th of this month, was really just cemented its previous earnings, in the sense of like, hey, this large move right here was basically what could have happened for earnings. We could have just seen trading around 1400, but when its earnings came out, we could have seen that $1,700 to $1,800 price movement like this. So this is kind of where we're just trading at here. And I think a lot of people, again, their overall expectation was a little bit too high, and then now they just need to kind of get a little bit more grounded and see on how things play out from now. Let's go ahead and take a look at the portfolio. Apple's kind of crawling back, not only down $3.40. Amazon's doing okay. Let's see. Let's see here. Let me get some of this capital back here. Let's go. Again, yeah, so this is around 10:30 to 11. You're going to see quite a bit of price movement in the sense of looking at what we could see, the movement going on, seeing of the real prices coming in now. We've had time to digest the earnings. The talking heads have gone on TV, have talked about the stock until they turn blue now. This is where we're going to start seeing the prices really come into where the market really thinks it could happen, and not start nixing out some of that emotional stuff there. Josh Fredrickson, what about Microsoft? So Microsoft, same thing, like Tesla. Again, it had huge moves up before the earnings. Again, around the same time as Tesla. Then kind of came down with a kind of an overall market rotation, correction, whatever you want to call it. Not even a correction, just like a slight little a dizzy kind of spell there. And now heading off that 21. It's still holding above the 21. Again, earnings expectation was a little bit higher than other people thought, and of course they did very well, but I thought people like Tesla thought this is just going to shoot the lights out. Like, it's still a company. They also still have issues and new things to kind of get around with the virus going forth. Like for Tesla, their factories were shut down for, I think, well over 30 to 45 days, and there was no production going on. Microsoft had to switch basically and had a huge influx of folks wanting to go remote for their companies and things like that. So now they're figuring out how to probably use a lot of cash, a lot of potential money for expenses, expanding things, reorganizing things, and trying to gain the new sense of what is going to be happening in the next coming 6 or 7 months until the end of the year, on what we can expect, again, with the virus. So the virus is really still dictating a lot of these companies' outlooks and decisions of like how many people are going to be going back to the office, how many people are, especially schools, are going to need a way to properly teach our children here, and then this coming school year starting in August and September. So this is going to be a pretty intense time without a doubt. But things are just kind of flat. So one thing I kind of look at too is always the P call. So the P call is actually pretty low right now, meaning that we could see a correction coming sometime soon. That's not always right. This could be a pretty large, I don't always want to bet on the negative of things, but the P call is basically the put call ratio. So normally if the put call is below, I usually look at like the 21. If it's below like 50, below 70, it's just meaning that we're kind of well over due for a slight trading sideways or a slight pullback. Doesn't mean that it always happens. this has happened before, where we just can just kind of slowly grind higher, things like that. Again, some of the expectations that we've seen here, people are kind of coming back to reality again with Tesla, Microsoft, of like, hey, these tech companies, even though they're still huge and they're printing money, there's still some expectations of, hey, things are not going to be as wonderful as going forth. I don't know many nickel mining stocks. I do not, actually. I do want to actually look at gold here, though. Whoops. Well, I just do GLD. And that's hitting an all-time high today. So that's a little bit concerning, again, due to the overall market. This is kind of a... This has happened before. So we look here on the RSI. It's kind of hitting... Let's go actually to the weekly side. So the weekly side, once it hits like the weekly side of RSI here, it kind of just feathers off. On the daily side with the gold, we're seeing it here hit, then it kind of comes back down to 21, hits here, kind of comes back down a little bit. It has a lot of momentum going forth here, and it's looking super strong here. So we'll see on how this overall plays out, especially with this. But we'll see on the next coming days if there's going to be some kind of correction or things like that. I think there's going to be a lot of earnings next week, and we'll see on how. I'm hoping more investors and folks are kind of reeled in for a potential, like, hey, things are not as completely bring yourself back down to earth. Like, Tesla is a great company, and yes, it's going to hit higher targets, but it's not going to happen within the next 2 weeks. It's going to take years. Like, they're just talking about start building in Texas, and of course the plant going out in Germany, and the semi-trucks coming out, and things like that. The things take time, and things just don't rapidly just change on a dime. So golden, silver's going to the moon. No, I don't think gold and silver's going to the moon. It could go higher without a doubt. I think that we could be seeing some volatility coming in the market. I think a lot of people aren't expecting that. And I think, again, I don't really want to think or put things in my mindset. I just always kind of look at the present moment of what's going on in the market, engage from that. There is a slightly like guidelines on where I trade in around certain things. But if the market crashes tomorrow, like, okay, that'd be a great buying opportunity. Like, I just have to be a different mindset of like, oh no, I'm going to lose all my money. You got to be ready for next to everything, because the market doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care how much you have in the stocks. It doesn't care how bullish or how bearish you are. It just does its own thing. It's the market beast, the market gods, whatever you want to call it. Is just going to have the way of just really killing people's dreams. And it usually does the complete opposite of what everyone else, the large group of whatever is saying one thing. This kind of does the opposite sometimes from what I've learned from my experience. Let's go look at Amazon. Yeah, Amazon's still holding that 5 and 8 exponential moving average. It can come down all the way to the 21. It'll be fine with this. It continue just moving higher. Yeah, I think gold could continue going higher, but again, I can't tell you to buy it up here. I won't be able to buy it up here. It's just these multiple gaps up here is a little bit scary for me, especially for gold. I think it can maybe kind of come up here and just trade sideways with the market. Again, I think the S&P 500 and the gold and the overall inverses of that could just be continued trading sideways and looking for the overall trading range of that. So let's go look at the S&P 500 and see how, again, we finally just broke out a range that we really wanted to see here on the S&P 500, and that took quite a bit of energy here. We are starting to see, we had that little short-term squeeze here for about 3 or 4 days, or 3 days actually, and really propelled us higher to get above that 327, 323 level. Looking for, again, that trend to continue. Nothing too concerning. If this starts breaking below the 223, 224, and then continue breaking down to the 320 and 323, then there's going to be slightly concerns for a potential slight 4 or 5% move correction in the overall market. We are seeing a little bit of momentum slowing down again. We just had a huge amount of earnings coming out. We have a lot more coming out next week with a lot of the Amazons, the Apples, and things like that. So there's going to be a lot of other things that could be potentially on the radar going forth with the market could be concerned about. Again, no one in this world that I know of has a crystal ball in the market where the market could be going. So it can be going up, down, left, right, sideways, doing loop-de-loops, but you just have to be ready for anything that the market kind of gives you. And just being nimble and just don't take it emotionally. I'm talking a lot about the psychology of everything here, and I think it's maybe people are a little bored or just don't quite understand what I'm trying to say here. Jamie, what up, man? How you doing? Or Jamie, I don't know if it's Jamie, female name, sorry. Let's see here. No need for a crystal ball when stocks go up. Yeah. We'll see how that goes, right? So I was the first to find Tesla's earnings today. Twitter. Oh, hey Daniel. Twitter for the win. Yeah, Twitter. That's a heck of a surprise, right? Being hacked literally early in the week, but you're still up 5%. Like, we're looking for that initial support again. The ceiling of resistance here really coming in strong around $40. So if they can't really break above that, it's going to be the next ceiling resistance. Downside support's going to be around 35, 36 there for the Twitter. I feel you sometimes is more EQ than IQ. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. Remember, I only have 4 brain cells. Emotional? I think gold is going higher because that it's just people are fearful of what could be coming in the market. It could be an inverse of the dollar amount. I'm not too 100% up to date in the understanding of the fiat currency of the dollar and how that really just translates over the overall economy and how that works out. But I think this. I look at gold more or less. It's not like I don't consider it the fear gauge anymore. I just think of it's like, hey, like people are like, hey, wait a minute, like I think that things could be a little bumpy here. That it could get a little more bumpy here rather than just smooth riding, and they would rather maybe transition out of some of those profits they had initially in a lot of those large tech names and then slowly get into gold, something a little bit more stable, I guess. Daniel, thank you for the videos. You're very welcome, my friend. We're going to be working on an AMD video tonight for sure. NCC Piton, yeah, what's that doing today? That's actually a good one to look at. Yeah, so this one is looking super strong. This one, that's a great one there, NOC or NOC. We had that $69 price target, so we can kind of draw a very small Fibonacci retracement here from the previous high to low, hitting that $65.30. We really need a break above that. Really break above the 65 to 66 to continue going higher, because there's going to be, that's where the 618 percentile move comes in, and that's where the parabolic SAR is. So that's going to be a pretty key level for us to break that and continue going and looking higher. The only thing is that the momentum is kind of dying off here, with a lot of volume kind of coming off too. It's been kind of lightly the next couple days, which is sometimes concerning. If the stock's going up on very light volume, it just means there's not a lot of selling going involved, and there's just very simple in the sense of moving higher. Yeah, I think emotional trading is difficult when you're seeing like, oh, the stock's down 50%, let me sell everything. That is emotional to it, or rather look at it like, hey, it's down 50%, it's a buying opportunity. If it's not like crashing for some whatever dumb reason. Yeah, Piton is looking good. Let me go look at the overall stocks here. This is interesting. So what we're going to do, so Facebook's finally getting a slow comeback here. Let's see if I can get out of this. Go here. Not getting out of those fills here. Whew. IBM. So I guess you're planning on Watson. I don't know about IBM. I don't know too much about quantum computing and who has the best secret sauce right now. So I think the people who have the secret sauce are really keeping that in the wraps with quantum computing. So we'll see how that overall plays out. But quantum computing and AI is a little bit different, right? So the AI technology behind it, I guess quantum computing will help AI drastically advance without a doubt and be extremely fast. NCC, yes, Logitech has been completely wonderful stock. We have owned this one for a little bit. Kind of bought here on the dip around 65. Literally bought the 65 calls going out well in December into January. Has been a great call. Had a great quarter, and it's just continued going higher. So this is going to be a little bit of longer term hold for us. Again, looking for potentially 75 plus for maybe a little bit of profit taking, but really looking closer to $80. Downside support if you want to buy into this. I was a little bit aggressive here, but really need to, if you're doing short-term trading, it's going to come down to 70 potentially. If you're doing very short to intermediate swings or even intraday, and then longer-term trading is going to come down to like the 67 for around the 21, but it has not come down to the 21 at all, so that's where I kind of bought it up around like $65, $66 price target. Drink some water. Let's see how everything else is going. Why is this not working for me? Let's see how this is going. Jamie, what's your best performing stock in my portfolio? Tesla in my long term, without a doubt. My recent great ones have been AMD and Logitech, honestly. Have just been really great for me. AMD finally broke out of that trading range we talked about, broke above that $57, $58 price target, and it's been doing very well. So this is one of the largest current holdings that I'm having in those companies there, but we're looking for potentially taking some profits here soon in some of those going forth. Yeah, Snap is something that we traded on earnings as well. So Snap, I think, is going to be a nice little kind of a surprise here. We kind of broke between that 21 here, a little bit more than we wanted to, but now it's holding that 1272 extension here, which is around 2279, which is kind of the previous swing high to low. Again, it doesn't line up with one of the moving averages, kind of gets close to the 34, but we start seeing that 5 and 8 start crossing through the 21 and getting potential further downside selling. That could be slightly concerning, but I think we can kind of, if this continues to hold around the $22 to $23 price target, this could just kind of be potentially building a base and getting another nice little push higher. Because I think the expectations on this one has kind of got a little too far ahead of itself, and now we're seeing some potential people getting out, and potentially the little bit longer term investors and the stronger hands kind of buying into this. We're seeing a lot of volume coming in here that could be selling as well due to the trades, but it's looking like it's holding as of right now. Let's see what's going on here. Tesla's back up to $30 plus $30 today. So again, like we're talking about. So now, since we've settled in a little bit here, some of these movements that we're seeing are finally giving us a reasonable price here on how things are going to be trading and moving forth here. So we can look at CMG. Chipotle is one of the stocks that had earnings last night. Now coming into only down maybe 2%. Nothing too crazy to report there. Tesla's going to be up just slightly as well at 1.8% there. And then we're going to go to Microsoft, which would be down just about 1.62% there. But everything is still holding pretty much intact within Microsoft. TikTok, yeah, I'm not going to be, I don't know much about TikTok, and I've never used it, so I don't know. Yeah. Hey, Ken, can you do a technical for Netflix, please, if you haven't already? Yeah, we can do, we haven't actually did Netflix. So Netflix had a heck of a quarter. Again, same thing, like kind of like Tesla. Shook a lot of people up. People's expectations were way through the roof on the sense of what could be reasonably happening in this stock here. In the sense of having that huge tick up day basically on the 13th as well. This is basically what the earnings could have looked like. But since that move has already happened previous to earnings, we kind of got this little gap down. It's still holding the 21, which I'm thinking that, and looking at potentially having it work out like Microsoft, just kind of just trading sideways around the 21 in the 34. It's been holding this line pretty well. We have basically a 482. If it starts breaking below that, it can go down to 475-ish price target there. Again, nothing too concerning here, but we start seeing the 5 and 8 start cross through the 21, then that could be some more negativity. Since we just came out after earnings, there's going to be a lot of people who are not happy with making 1,000% on their options or call options because of that. And now it's going to consolidate here. Volume's going to dry up again because, again, earnings there is no really event happening in Netflix, so it's going to kind of go into hibernation mode, potentially just trade sideways. Again, being mindful if some of those price action starts going down to the downside. The only thing that's a little bit concerning is that the volume zone oscillator is in negative territory. It's not in extreme negative territory, but it's still in negative territory. So if this can continue going down again with the 5 and 8 start crossing through the 21, potentially coming into support around the 475 or 470 price target there. To the upside, we really need to see it break above this gap here. Since the parabolic SARs have switched, we really need to see that trend to switch to the bottom to the top, from the top to the bottom again. But it's going to take a lot of time to really fix that damage that will kind of happen with earnings there. The coolest data ever. If you buy a put, can you lose more than you invested versus selling it? No. So when you buy something, so for example, let me give you an example here. Let's do Logitech. So here is my December Logitech here. There's a little dot here. So for example, if I wanted to be bullish on Logitech, the coolest data ever, let's say if I wanted to buy a put, you're putting up a debit. A debit meaning if I buy this particular put right here, I'm paying, or the $70 put, I'm paying $1.67. That is the max loss I can lose, is $167. If I wanted to sell it, I can lose $6,000. Okay, so that's how much of my buying power is affected of it. So it takes a little bit of I don't know how new you are to options there, the coolest dad, but so what you're looking for is so this if you sell something, it's normally I like to do the put credit spread. So I would buy this the 65 right above it. So my downside is only $395, and then my max profit is 105. But what is the sexy part of selling premium is that probability of profit is at 65%. So what you normally would do, you would execute this trade and potentially try to get 75 to 80% of that $100. So you get maybe $80 of cap, $80 out of this particular trade. What about getting assigned? Can you get assigned? Yes, you can get assigned to buying, but you normally don't get assigned depending on what brokerage account you have, unless it's like really deep in the money and it has to happen like the day of. So I've only had one close call with Tastyworks of nearly being assigned something with that. If it's completely out of the money, you can't get assigned. If it's let's say, let's give a better example, like let's say SPY, and I'm trading, I'm buying like the 330 put here. Again, we have 1 day left on this expiration here, and that could likelihood being assigned tomorrow. Usually, I think it's like so after the close, you'll know. So with Tastyworks, I know that they'll give you an email like, hey Ken, just a FYI, you have some options that could be assigned tomorrow and that's getting close to expiration. They give you that little verbal email. I've gotten the call once of like, hey, I think it was an automated thing of, hey, moves from their trading desk. It was like, hey Ken, you have some options that are pretty deep in the money that we see that you might be assigned. Just give you a heads up. Just make sure you can exit that out or whatsoever. So if you're like, we can do extreme cases. If you're buying like the 340, like the likelihood of this being in the money is very high. The delta is like 98%. So this is like 98%. It's going to be basically in the money tomorrow. So that's basically you're most likely going to be assigned this not earlier in the day, but like 2:30, 3 o'clock. You'll get the calls of like, hey, Ken, hey, just be FYI, you got that SPY put that you're going to be most likely assigned, and then you'll get 100 shares of this particular thing. So you get assigned of it. But if you can't make the margin, which is 2 or 3 days later, it was like a Monday or Tuesday, if you don't have enough cash in the account, they can just close the account out until you pay that margin debt. Sometimes, if you're lucky, the stock can go up drastically in that the move from like whatever can give you the cash to get out. It can get really complicated. Lack of better words, don't be too risky with it on trying to get assigned to it, because it could be very much just too much stress on your behalf, and just being mindful of just keeping, if you're selling premium, just make sure that you're out of the money. Correct, that Jamie Heatherway. Yeah. Oh, that kid someone got assigned a lot in Robinhood. Because the thing, I don't know how Robinhood does it. Like, I don't think it's a really big company, so I don't think they have like the trading desk and other things like a Tastyworks or a TD Ameritrade or TD Ameritrade for Thinkorswim that have the manpower in the sense of to let folks know what they're doing. I don't know how I feel like TikTok and Snap are pretty different types of social media apps. Although they're both involved in video sharing, a lot of people are using Snap for communications and reading magazines. Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. Coolest dad ever, $5. Thanks, man. That's awesome. Thank you. Hopefully that was so. I'm trying to do and working on it. I've kind of deleted it multiple times of just trying to do like 45 minutes, an hour of just doing the very basics of calls and puts and the verticals of that. So we'll see on how that overall plays out, but see how if people appreciate that breakdown. Because again, I know a lot of folks are fairly new to options, and it could be very daunting and scary because you hear the horror stories of like, oh, I got assigned and I lost $3,000 or things like that. So just be mindful of that. And I just kind of take the fear out of it. I think there's a lot of fear on selling premium, but you're really just playing the statistical odds behind the numbers. Some kid got assigned or bought 2 puts and they got assigned to Amazon. Oh, see, the thing has happened. So I believe Tastyworks, again, I don't play that too close to the trading like that, but if you're a reasonable brokerage firm would not let you have that happen. They would see on how much capital you have in your trading account and know that you could not make margin calls, so they'll give you multiple warnings, and then sometimes they just literally just take the trade out of your tab. Just like, you know what, we're just going to sell it for you and get out of it for a loss. I trade everything, honestly. Stock journal tips. Basically, I love options just because the versatility that it gives. But I own quite a bit of stocks as well, but mostly for longer term stuff. So, and everything from the Teslas to I actually bought recently a lot in Zscaler, some other stuff like Waste Management, Disney, and things like that are more of my like stock trading stuff that I have. But yeah, it's mostly what I cover a lot of times is within options trading, just because of the amount of liquidity and the overall of versatility that it gives you to trade. Let's see how. See, Apple is actually not performing very well. I just got another alert here. Kind of being a little of a doozy here. Not a little fun action going on here with Apple here. Guys, I gotta get going here. It's 11 o'clock here, so we got to do a couple more errands on my side. Thank you guys for everyone who showed up. Coolest dad ever. Thank you again for the $5, and then Joshua for the other 99 cents. I really do appreciate it. I hope everyone has a great day. Hopefully, I'll have a video out tonight. We're going to be talking about some AMD stuff, some interesting stuff going on there. Just the last couple days, a lot of folks are buying up some longer term options. It doesn't really well represent here because, again, we're getting closer to expiration, but we had some stuff yesterday that we're buying at September, even further out, some calls within AMD, and we're finally out of that wonderful box of just trading sideways there. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate everyone coming out. Hopefully everyone learned something today. Keep your heads out for some more live streams coming your way. Potentially the next one is be happening the next Sunday one again. Guys, thank you so much again. We'll see you guys on the flip side. Peace.